Today on the Topping Show, the comment section without Brett Cooper views are down 63.5%, while earnings are just a fraction of what they were when Brett Cooper led the show. Trump signs a bill banning men from competing in women's sports, as well as goes over the statistics of how many women were robbed of their opportunities. Representative Mitch Crockett is tired of quote-unquote white tears and is enraged that DEI is dying. Mitch McConnell falls upstairs yet again. A Washington law would install mile-per-hour limiters for suspended drivers. The LAPD released migrant rioters who blocked the streets with zero charges and zero repercussions. Automakers also plan to lower their MSRP, but a sub 20K compact is still the pipe dream. A vegan KitKat bar is going to end production. And Ford is recalling 150,000 Broncos because the suspension can simply fall off. All of that, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have major automakers lowering their MSRP, but still won't get the sub 20K. So maybe someday we'll get there, but not anytime soon, at least for the short time. Now, this comes with thanks to thedrive.com, specifically Beverly, who's a writer over there, who says, quote, "Good news, automakers are working on cheaper cars because that's what we can afford. Bad news, we're still going to be stuck with crossover SUVs, and trucks. The sub 20K car remains a pipe dream," which, yeah, I mean, if there's no tariffs and, we just had no laws for, if we were to just dramatically reduce our regulations and emissions, all that stuff, yeah, you could definitely get those price points back, but no. There's a reason that sub 20K price point exists on other countries in the planet, just not in the United States, which is a shame because now the average car or new car sold in the United States, I believe that price point is specifically, geez Louise, the average price of a car sold in the United States in 2024, in December specifically, was $49,740, which is insane. That's according to Kelley Blue Book's latest findings, which is still insane. The same average loan payment per month is $256, which to me is unfathomable. I struggle just to make I love my Chevy Cruze Eco, but that was about, $330 per month when I had that thing back in the day. And granted, I did buy it used, but I love those stick shift machine. But yeah, it is one of the most expensive, extravagant things Americans buy these days is automobiles, and the price points are just, it blows my mind. It's just, I don't think sustainable, which is, I think, reflected with consumer debt increasing more and more. Now, they say, quote, "They're all about dat base," which I don't think that's a real word, but is a reference to a song, I believe. And they say, "In models, lower priced cars are coming with automaker consensus during last week's National Automobile Dealers Association show, which is good news for consumers on the affordability front. Just don't expect cheaper vehicles to be anything exciting." According to Automotive News, the likes of Ford, Mini, Mitsubishi, who? Oh yeah, they're still around. It is so sad that Mitsubishi made icons like the 3000 GT and the Lancer Evo and the Eclipse, and now they make boring, rudimentary crossover SUVs, with the Eclipse now being called an SUV, which is, as an enthusiast, quite anemic and disappointing when you consider, although perhaps you're not really going to stimulate your brain too much in terms of deep intellect, but a fun movie is the Fast and Furious movies, and the first one, the Mitsubishi Eclipse, was one of the hero cars in the beginning. That fun little green thing was awesome. But nevertheless, Mitsubishi somehow is still around in North America for all 18 people who want to buy it. They also note that Dodge Ram, will also be lowering their MSRPs of existing crossovers and trucks by introducing new base or lower end trims. Even Tesla is on the cusp of new affordable models, likely variants of the Model 3 and Y, according to Autocar. Now, they say that for their efforts, General Motors and Volkswagen have already reaped the benefits of their bottom of the barrel models, while Stellantis recently reintroduced a bargain minivan, which, yeah, I still forget they're in business. Now they say if you're looking for news of a sub-compact $20,000 Mitsubishi Mirage or Nissan Versa, or brought back from the dead, or a non-current CUV would cost less than 20 grand. Stick shift based Miata 3, everyone, which, yeah, that would be fun. A stick shift Mazda 3. They say if you're looking for that, you're going to be searching for a long time. Just because automakers decontent models or bring prices down doesn't mean they're going to do it with lower profit margin vehicles, i.e. cars, which, again, people wonder why Ford got out of cars years ago, with the exception of the iconic Mustang, because they weren't making any money on it. I mean, even when GM was selling the Chevy Cruze, which I thought was great bang for your buck. I love that little thing. I mean, even the Chevy Cruze, the dealerships would lose about $475. The only way you made money was GM would give you like a $100 gift card if you sold one. And the dealership would, ideally, to make a profit, you'd have to sell things like financing as well as accessories. I mean, cars, those little subcompact cars are dog crap when it comes to, profitability of company. You just pray that they buy it, and someday they buy an SUV or truck where, I mean, a dealership might lose $500 on a Chevy Cruze, but if they sell a Chevy Silverado, they make like 10 grand. Again, this is when was I in the auto industry? That was 15 plus years ago, but the concept's still about the same. It is insane that the consumer perception of trucks is so strong that they're willing to pay such a premium over cost. It is a fascinating phenomenon, and people think that they last longer. Yeah, well, if they're American made, usually not, but that's a perception, man, it sells, which makes sense. They're not going to discount cars, and they're already losing money on most cars. Now, they say the crossover is king. The Encore GX and Invista, both subcompact crossovers, had a gangbuster year last year as Buick's best-selling vehicles of 2024, which, that being said, that means they probably sold 25 units, because how many people do you know buy a Buick new? I mean, usually you inherit them when a grandfather passes away, which is how my dad got his. It's something usually, unfortunately, inherit. You don't cognitively make a decision to buy, at least as far as I know. Although they did make, the Regal GS had a stick-shift Turbo 4 engine with Brembo brakes, which for a Buick was pretty cool. But besides that, past couple decades have been mostly just a sneeze or snore show. They say the redesigned Chevy Trax had the best model year-over-year sales increase for Chevrolet and was the third best-selling model overall. The small CUV starts at $21,495 for this LS model and tops out at $25,395 for the active model, misspelled ACTIV. Go figure. All of which cost less than the still in inventory base Malibu, which is at $26,995. Other sub $30,000 vehicles from Chevy are the Trailblazer and Equinox, which, yeah, they also know that they're going to kill the Malibu, which, I thought was a good staple for the brand. Never anything exciting to buy, but I always thought it was a good sedan for the portfolio, and some people would buy it, obviously. Now, they say there could also be cheap Chevy trucks in the future, too, if the Bowtie brand were to follow its Southeast Michigan frenemies. Automobile News said Ram is planning a lower tier 1500 trims after dropping the 1500 Classic, and Ford has a mid-sized truck due in 2027, but not before it gives dealers more of the F-150 STX, a trim that costs nearly 40% less than the fancy premium, which it's also, the premium F-150s are comical. We're talking 6 figures for a truck, which, unless you're a farmer or construction worker, I can't fathom wasting that much money on a vehicle that you can't write off or depreciate. It boggles my mind that there's so many pavement queens where they just go to Home Depot once a month and get some mulch. And yet people are spending so much money on those trucks. And they're all automatic. Where's the fun in that? The exception of the Toyota Tacoma, but I digress. Now, they note that Rob Clay, Ford's U.S. sales director, noted that the lower priced trims could also be region-specific based for need. For example, hybrid trucks for Florida and 4x2 models with high tow ratings for Texas. The base Bronco also returns to 2025, and Ford plans to have cheaper versions of the Bronco Sport and Maverick, which is good to start off with, the premium price so you can start to recoup your investment. Because again, when you first start a vehicle, every new vehicle is a $700 million to $1 billion gamble from automobile manufacturer. It's a huge risk. So again, want to sell the most profitable vehicles up front or the beginning, so that way you can hopefully recoup as much as possible. So it makes sense for them to maybe come out with these lower trims later. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much they increase in value. I've been saying for years, these cars and trucks have way too many features that you really don't need. Besides, maybe heated seats, which you could debate are, not new. They've been around since Cadillac patented it like 70 years ago, give or take. But No, I think it was about 70 years ago. But nevertheless, there's so many things that can go wrong because you have so many new whiz bangs and widgets thrown into the vehicles, and it all increases the cost of goods sold to the consumer, which I debate you really don't need. And again, these days, I don't know how people can afford this average monthly payment of $756 per month. And there are people getting 72 plus month loans for these vehicles, which, boggles my mind how someone could actually afford that. But let me know in the comments. Some automobile manufacturers were hesitant to do this in the past because, again, they're worried they won't make as much profit because you could force the consumer to go to the higher, the fancier model or trim level. But let me know your thoughts because, as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have the Vegan KitKat to be discontinued with all 13 fans heartbroken, though they will for sure stock up on this, what's the opposite word of a commodity? Trash, before it is completely off the shelves, which, talk about bad advertising. I didn't even know this thing existed. Granted, I'm not a chocolate purchaser. I'm a guy. Well, if you're a single guy, I don't know any single guys who buys chocolate, but that's just me, except for maybe chocolate flavored whey protein. But I partially digress. This comes with thanks to Yahoo Life, which somehow still around, the OG search engine. Specifically, Nathan, who's a writer over there, and they say, quote, chocolate fans are urged to pick up and stock up after Nestle reveals popular, quote unquote, candy bar to be discontinued this summer, which I added the quotation marks because if it was truly popular, it wouldn't be discontinued. If it was a very popular candy bar, people would be buying it up left and right. They wouldn't be, discontinuing this thing. So obviously it's not that popular. Now, this is funny because they say, quote, sticking to a vegetarian or vegan diet is no easy task. Actually, I do agree with that because you have to spend about approximately 20 to 35% of your life telling people that you're vegan if you are vegan. That's a momentous thing, though I think many of them do it as a point of pride so they don't feel the burden, so to say. Now, they say, quote, it takes hard work and dedication to find ingredients we love to cook as well as products that fit in our daily eating habits. When we do find products that work within the boundaries of our diet, we hold on to it like our lives depend on it. Though ironically, their lives definitely don't. Now they say, quote, while there are loads of chocolate varieties to choose from, Nestle is one of the few retail giants that actually offers vegan versions of some of its most popular chocolate brands. But in an unexpected turn of events, fans of KitKat Vegan are being urged to stock up on the fan favorite chocolate bar in preparation for its impending discontinuation this summer. This isn't supposed to be a comedic article. They say in their unexpected turn of events. Really? This has got to be a very, very low volume product that they make of the whole portfolio of chocolate that they shove on people. This is kind of like people were pretending they were surprised that Kevin's Heart's chains of restaurants in California closed down when they were in an exclusive vegan fast food concept, which was such a stupid idea. If it couldn't work in California, it won't work anywhere on the planet, except, well, maybe India, where they're mostly they don't like beef, but nevertheless. Now they say, quote, the cause for the discontinuation is being labeled as a, quote, a drop in global demand. Yeah, well, no duh. And it officially puts an end to the 4-year run on the market for KitKat Vegan. KitKat was actually one of the first major chocolate providers to launch a plant-based alternative for chocolate lovers everywhere, and received widespread enthusiasm in the process. Well, not really, because there was really widespread enthusiasm and unwavering commitment and fanfare. They won't be discontinuing it. Yeah, here you can see a picture of it, which at least the packaging looks interesting. I don't really think it looks appealing, but it is interesting, I suppose. A spokesperson for Nestle said, quote, unfortunately, the global demand has been reducing to the point that production was making manufacturing more and more complex. Well, actually, no, that has nothing to do with the manufacturing process. You're not adding really, you're just saying you're losing money on this. It's not like it's more complex. You have the same crappy ingredients you're throwing to a big mixing bowl. It's just a matter of, are you losing money? Well, in this case, it'd be lost opportunity cost because you just could be running the machinery, assuming that you have one facility. Well, they have many facilities, but if you have one production line for the KitKat and you want to make the vegan, in theory, depending on the plant capacities and locations, you have to shut it down, pivot to making this crap, and make it, and then you spin it back up to the original production. Now, if you're making so much more money on the alternative, you're actively losing money by making this stuff. Now, I guess because you're buying the ingredients for this in lower quantities, it's also less profitable as well. So it was interesting for them to go after this niche, but yeah, I love how they're saying it was more and more complex. No, and then they say, quote, we made the difficult decision to discontinue the product. I mean, it would be a lot more funny if they just said out loud what everyone really is thinking, the reality of, you guys didn't buy this crap, so we're not going to make any more, losing money on it. That's the reality of what's happening here. Now they say, quote, we know there will be some disappointment. However, it will still be available in the UK and Ireland until the summer. Fans of the KitKat vegan are understandably upset with the news. Now, I mean, they're not going to be able to do much since most of them can't lift a dumbbell more than 3 inches off the ground. Need protein, and but I partially digress. Now, some of these vegans say, quote, why do sorry, so mentally vacuous. They say, quote, why are these billionaire companies taking away products because of declining sales? Aren't they making enough? Unquote. Clearly not. If this thing was extraordinarily profitable, they would continue making it for the indefinite future. They wouldn't stop. They're literally stopped making it because you're not buying enough of this crap. Like, if this is flying off the shelves left and right, maybe a business does not stop making a product if they're making a profit on it. Now, they say, quote, this is the worst day of my life. Jeez Louise. Aren't they making enough? Worst day of my life. Now, the article continues saying, quote, if you plan on stocking up on the KitKat vegan ahead of the summer's discontinuation, your options are pretty slim depending on where you live. As of now, the fans can grab a single 1.46 ounce bar off Amazon for $7.95 per unit, or a 24 bar pack for $73.80 per unit, which they also say you can find them online at Walmart or overseas in the UK if you're planning a trip there. Now, again, I'm not sure how, I don't buy chocolate. I mean, what does a regular KitKat go for? When I was a kid, maybe it was what, $1? I would imagine maybe with inflation, maybe it's $2 at most today for a regular one. And yet the vegan one is $7.95, which realistically, after you're extorted, I mean taxed, you're talking about $8.50, $9 for a thing of vegan plant-based chocolate, which there's like a 2% chance it tastes good. I'm sorry, I'm being too generous. A 1% chance that this actually tastes good. Now, let's go to the top comments. Perhaps I'm alone in this assessment and they all think this is terrible news. We're going to go out and buy every single one of these. Maybe it's akin to when they canceled the zebra gum, which I would argue is actually a good product, but nevertheless. K128, unique name, says, quote, vegan products are very much a super niche, and I'd wager a lot of vegans and health conscious are not buying much candy to begin with. A niche market within a niche market doesn't bode well for long-term profit, getting 25 upvotes and 1 downvote. Dylan says, quote, this was a thing? No wonder they are taking it away. I've never even seen one. Like ever, and KitKat was my favorite candy bar. Not once did I ever see this in stores. How is it popular if it's never been seen? Good question, getting 69 likes. Greg says, quote, KitKat vegan and popular should not be used in the same story. Nobody will miss it. Getting 139 upvotes and 3 downvotes. Which, yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing either. Lon says, man, I was nervous. I love KitKats. When I saw it was a vegan version of news. So I'm all good now. Getting 20 likes. Linda says, oh, thank God. I thought the real KitKat bars were being discontinued. Getting 75 upvotes and no downvotes. Let's see here. Phil says, how could it be popular with low sales? Exactly. Getting 57 likes. Keith perhaps overestimates the sample size of prospective clients. It says, quote, there's like 12 people that are going to lose it over this. KitKat vegan exists? Question mark. Getting 18 likes. So yeah, I never knew this existed, but let me know in the comments. Did you even know this chocolate bar existed, or this more accurate abomination of chocolate bar existed? And if you knew it existed, do you know anyone who ever bought it? Like, I never even seen that on the store shelves. Granted, I'm a pretty habitual buyer when it comes to my groceries, but let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the cultural part of the podcast, you have the LAPD releasing migrant rioters who were blocking the streets with apparently 0 charges, which is the culture of Los Angeles and California. Perhaps someday it will change, but that day certainly is not today. Now, this comes to us thanks to And Wokeness on X, in which he says, quote, breaking, LAPD releasing the migrant rioters who are blocking traffic, 0 charges, which, yeah, no one's surprised here. Also, no surprise, none of these gentlemen are suited up, of course. They're wearing rudimentary sweaters and jackets. Not the good, button-up jacket, but like a zip-up jacket. One is, in fact, of the M&M's candy bar, which I'm not sure if that means he's a factory worker. He certainly doesn't work at KitKat vegan bars. They're out of business. But let's see what's going on here in LAPD, or Los Angeles. I'm actually astonished there's not copious amounts of trash on the street. This has to be one of the only streets that's clean in California. That's pretty rare. There you see police. There he goes. I went in the M&M's jacket. Laying him out of cuffs. And those police just walk away. Now here's the weird thing. It looks like they lead these guys away, uncuff them, and just let them go. So I guess if you're down the street, you think the police are doing something, but in true California fashion, they're not fixing the problem, they're just moving it out of the way. Which, yeah, perhaps is a good metaphor for California. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people blocking the streets these days. How does not a rule that you have to... It boggles my mind that there's not a law or rule that says you don't have to stand for that. I mean, all the people are late for work who actually have jobs. I mean, you see this same thing with those insufferable environmentalists who ironically just make people hate their causes even more when they sit in the middle of the roads, which is ridiculous. Of all the crimes against humanity, that has to be one of the greatest ones, is people who actually actively sit in the street to block traffic. Now, this went pretty viral. Got 800,000 views and 25,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Paul Zupa saying, quote, "This is why we lose," getting 781 likes. We also have, sorry, that's Gunther Eagleman. Paul Zupa says, quote, "This will only encourage more of the same," getting 283 likes, which is the California way. Encourage all the violence to continue. Kelly M says, quote, "Major Bass is a dipshit and you scum is no better. Bunch of useless, evil clowns running shit," getting 370 likes, which, yeah, and yet people still vote for him time and time and time again. Which, I mean, that is perhaps the best example of vote blue no matter who. Like, how many businesses alone have been driven away directly because of Gavin Newsom's policies? Hundreds? And yet, how many businesses have moved to California in the past couple decades? One? Yeah. There's a reason people and businesses flee California in droves. You have an AI picture of Trump firing Gavin Newsom. This is posted by Joshua Alexander. Says, quote, "You're fired," getting 341 likes. Dudley Buchanan has a picture of Gavin Newsom looking only slightly creepier than usual, which is saying something. And it's a meme that says, quote, "We're Democrats. We don't do accountability. We just waste billions of tax dollars." Yeah. Getting 93 likes. Never forget Gavin Newsom. They lost track of like $25 billion that was supposed to fix the homeless problem. And they just had no accountability for it. Like, oh yeah, we don't really know where that money went. But they'll fix the problem. Just let them just tax you a little bit more, then they'll fix the problem. They tell us. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see. Common Sense Custodian says, quote, "So they're defying this Trump administration," getting 237 likes. Yep. The right guy says, quote, "As long as the Democrat run Los Angeles, it will always be a safe haven for criminals," getting 146 likes. True. Crazy Vibe says, "When will the citizens of Los Angeles get tired of this shit? Can we not reasonably expect the laws to be enforced? Do we have a mayor? Do we have a governor? No, we have idiots," getting 98 likes, which I actually don't think Gavin Newsom is stupid. I think he's quite cognitively articulate. He knows what he's doing. I think he's just corrupt or he doesn't care. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's just stupidity. Bio Holt says, quote, "Again, this is why I laugh when California voters get what they keep voting for. Their never-ending suffering proves their system works." Getting 321 likes. Chaotic Genius says, quote, "Break the law, get a free pass. Welcome to Los Angeles, where crime pays if you're woke enough." Getting 105 likes, which, yeah, never forget this is the same state that voted to allow criminals to steal more. Now, they are trying to fix that. They recently, reversed the law that said you could steal up to $950 without it being classified as a felony, which, who would have guessed it, resulted in record amounts of theft and lawlessness in California. Now, they are trying to reverse that, but we'll see how much it actually works. One more. Anthony Galal says, quote, "LA doesn't care about the public safety like stopping wildfires or crime. They just care about awarding ceremonies for the super rich," getting 490 likes. So the cultural decay of California continues, and I don't know, seems just to be more and more dystopian nightmare. Perhaps someday, merit and honor will be things in California, but unfortunately, it certainly doesn't seem like the cultural tide is turning around, especially in cities. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, the comment section without Brett Cooper, the views are down by 63.4% compared to the past 30 days, and they now earn a fraction of what they used to under Brett Cooper. I don't think it's financially viable anymore. Now, again, it's still, statistically speaking, one of the most successful channels. It's got, actually went below 4 million. Now it's got 3.96 million subscribers, which, again, is still huge, or Trump would say, huge. She has so many subscribers, almost 4 million. She went down a little bit, but someday she might get some more. But that day is not today, as they continue to go in the negative ever since Reagan took over, or as some people call her, Timu Brett Cooper. Now, it looks like subscribers are down 140,000 or 66.7% compared to the past 30 days. Views are down to 9.877 or 887 for the past 30 days. So that's down 63%. And if you look at the subscriber chart, you see, it's up about 10, 20, 30,000 increase per month. And then Brett Cooper left. I think the worst week was 300,000 people unsubscribed, which is almost unfathomably bad. And again, the rate at which people are leaving is getting better, so to say, if you look at the little chart there, but it's still negative. And now it used to be losing about 10,000 subscribers per day. Now it's averaging about every other day. So here you got a couple days, Monday, Tuesday, she lost 10,000. Wednesday, not too many, or statistically so low they didn't note it on the chart there. And then another 10,000. So it looks like the last 3 days, again, lost 140,000. Daily average loss of 4.6 thousand subscribers. Not to brag, but my average increase of subscribers is 3, maybe 4 on a day, which is technically a lot better than negative 4.6 thousand. So, click that subscribe button and help contribute to my statistical improvement on the show. Now, the concerning thing for the Daily Wire is look at their estimated yearly earnings. The estimated yearly earnings is nothing, basically. So the estimated yearly earnings, and again, this is taking the past, 30, 60-day statistics, it's estimated between $30,000 and $474,000 per year, which for an individual is life-changing. I wish I was making that much income, but for a business, that's nothing. The Daily Wire has about 250 employees full-time, many of them with healthcare benefits, even more contractors, which in the United States, healthcare benefits, it's almost the same amount as a salary you give folks. It is ridiculously, criminally expensive. Another topic for another time, perhaps. But the saving grace is that the Daily Wires, they have about 200 million paid subscribers on their platform. That being said, Ben Shapiro has done many interviews where he's kind of broke down the income of the Daily Wire, and I believe it's still 30+% of their total income comes from the YouTube advertisements and ad reads, which again are directly correlated to the number of viewers. And even with this data, they're saying the best use case from YouTube ads alone are right under $500,000, which again, that probably, the rumor was Brett Cooper is making a couple million as an individual contributor at the company. I can't but think Reagan has probably offered more than a couple $100,000 for her role. She's a producer. She's probably already making maybe $180,000, $200,000 per year. Now that she's on camera, the rumor is she got a good salary bump too. So, this means that best case scenario, maybe the YouTube views pay for her. But again, there are a lot of people behind the camera at the Daily Wire supporting that show. Not only the producers, we have editors, you have marketing folks who are uploading her content to a myriad of platforms. They're paying for the boosted ads on all different platforms. On the Facebook alone, the Daily Wire used to spend about $140,000 to $180,000 per month just posting and pushing Ben Shapiro's channel to grow, or his profile page on the platform to grow. That's one talent from the Daily Wire. They have 5 to 6 these days. So at this point, Reagan can't be making a profit for the company. Even with the people who are allegedly maybe buying the Daily Wire Plus subscription, maybe because of Reagan. Don't get me wrong, she has some fans. But at this point, I don't think the number of fans is sustainable enough for a business. It's just rough. And then looking at the the monthly gain subscribers, all of a sudden went down to the negative, and the views crashed. Now, going to one of her channels, let's see we'll do the first 30 seconds of her. Maybe they finally are letting Reagan be Reagan and not just trying to do a rudimentary carbon copy of Brett Cooper and letting her do her own mannerisms, her voice tones, her hand gestures. Probably not, but let's see what Reagan has to say.
Stoneman Douglas High School, who became... Hey guys, thanks for joining me on another episode of Comment Section. I'm Reagan Conrad. The Democrats have just secured their secret weapon to win back the young men that have gone astray and drifted to the dark side during the last election cycle. David Hogg, the DNC's newest and youngest vice chair.
Ask yourself, what can we as corporate America be doing to help the communities that we work in and the community?
Which is perhaps one of the few people more insufferable than Reagan herself. I'm only partially kidding. A lot of people alleging it's not her fault. A lot of people are saying she didn't stab her friend in the back, even though, really enough, Brett Cooper did delete her and all her photos and unfollow her. But nevertheless, yeah, seems like she has the same background, same voice tone, same hand gestures. Again, I'm surprised someone doesn't take an AI model, just put Brett Cooper's face on her, because it'd be almost the same show. Now, not pretty good for her, statistically speaking. She got 1.7 thousand likes, which for me would be a record. That'd be awesome. But it's all relative for her show. Again, wow, right under 23,000 views in the first 24 hours of uploading a video, and less than 2,000 likes. Which, yeah, spoiler alert, that's not sustainable for a business model, and they're losing money. And the comments, there's rumors that they're deleting some left and right, but it looks like the comments are starting to turn around. Almost, most of them are roasting, most of them are roasting that new little that anti-gunner David Hogg, which he might be one of the most insufferable people on the internet. And looks like, let's see, Balf Babies, I don't know how you spell that, or say that rather, says the irony of the Daily Wire deleting comments gained 12 likes. Gamer Girl 5740 says, once the Daily Wire is done deleting our comments, they'll only have theirs left, getting 34 likes. Let's see here. Zerlers, very unique name, says, quote, is this channel dying? Getting 32 likes. There, finally a different comment. James Brooking says, quote, I've seen camp gay men look more manly than David Hogg, getting 79 likes, which David Hogg very well might account for 58% of all vegan KitKat bar sales. I could see that being a thing. I mean, I'm actually surprised he has the physical strength to stand, given his a muscular density on his legs and arms, but nevertheless. Let's see here. Stag65 says, guy has been riding the coattails of dead friends for years, getting 108 likes. Shark Bro says, sickening that David Hogg laughed at this woman who actually lived through communism. Bravo dude, getting 47 likes. So again, it looks like there's slightly less negative pejorative comments in the comment section. It looks like about half of them are, addressing the substance of the video that Reagan is talking about. Now, there's also allegations that maybe Daily Wire is deleting some of these comments, and there's not a lot of comments relative to what they were getting. There's only 1,266 comments on this video. So not good news for the Daily Wire. And again, they have nearly unlimited resource allocation. The company's worth $1 billion. They got apparently 200 million subscribers for the Daily Wire Plus. Not subscribers. I think that's about how much revenue they get per year for that revenue venue. But let me know, do you think their marketing resource allocations can turn the show around? Interestingly enough, I mean, just with magic or creepiness of technology, I talk about the comment section enough where I should be seeing voice ads, based on my voice and, my Google searches or my Brave searches. I should get advertisements for the comment section. I talk about it enough. And yet, I'm not sure the Daily Wire isn't spending any money pushing her channel out there, but I've actually never seen a commercial for the comment section since Brett left. I find that very interesting. Maybe the Daily Wire thinks it's a sunk cost. They should just stop all marketing funds and see if this could right itself, or the ship could right itself without extra investment. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part podcast, you have Trump signing a bill banning men from competing in women's sports, as well as going over the statistics on how many women were robbed of their opportunities. So we got a couple videos here. I thought it'd be good to have at least one backstory or one video where he talks more about how many people have had their opportunities stolen from them. The first one comes from us thanks to End Wokeness. He says, quote, before signing an executive order to ban men from women's sports, Trump lists a bunch of sports victories where women were robbed of. You got Trump suited up, as always, looking sharp.
Female athletes have been forced onto the front lines, and men claiming to be girls have stolen more than 3,500 victories. That's a lot. Jeez. And invaded more than 11,000 competitions designed for women. Last year, a male cyclist posing as a woman competed in the 800-mile Arizona trail race, a very big deal in cycling. and obliterated the women's course record by nearly 5.5 hours.
Jeez.
Sounds like a lot, doesn't it, huh? 5.5 hours. So, but you have to hear the weightlifting records. You think that's bad. The weightlifting's worse. In 2023, a man in women's power lifting broke 2 world records and outlifted his closest female opponent in one event by 440 pounds.
What the?
And they continue to defend themselves, Mr. Congressman. You know that, right? They continue to defend themselves. We hope they continue onward because I don't think we can lose a race. This was one of the big reasons that we all won, and it's one of the big reasons that we had a record, a landslide like they haven't seen before, very often anyway. And who could forget last year's Paris Olympics where a male boxer stole the women's gold medal after brutalizing his female opponent so viciously that she had to forfeit just after 46 seconds, and she was a championship fighter. And actually, they had 2 women or 2 people that transitioned, and both of them won gold medals, and they won them very convincingly. But all of that ends today because with this executive order, the war on women's sports is over.
5 hours in a race? I mean, usually if people win races by minutes, that's pretty impressive. Hours? Yeah, that's leaps and bounds. It's relating it to the sports balls of the football. That'd be like the Patriots beating the Bears by 500 points to 7, which would probably be a realistic scenario if they were to play each other. Though I'm sure the Bears will be good next year, just like Chicago in general. Ha! Political and sports pun. They've been saying that for decades. They never have. They never will. Now, I got about 200,000 views and 13,000 likes. One of the best memes or memes is a comic of a jacked-looking guy with the trans flag on his t-shirt. This is by Alpha Liger, who says, quote, "This ended today." And he has a shot put guy. It says, "Winning is 10% luck." And he's about to throw the shot put. And it's 20% skill. He's throwing the shot put. It says 70% saying it now identifies a girl. And that got 47 likes. Now, Trump actually signing the bill here. This comes with thanks to Libs at TikTok, saying, quote, "It's official. President Trump signs executive order banning men from women's sports. Another huge win for America," which, fact check, true. And it's a huge win for, biological women. So they can actually compete.
You want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that.
Kids will never forget that moment.
I want to make this a really good signature because this is a big one, right?
Best signature. Oh, come on. Say it's the best. All right.
Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Okay, so that's the best signature. No one can beat my signature. It's the best, most legible, probably, kind of.
Pretty good, huh? I see that. Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Nice to see you. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here. Take a pen.
That's awesome.
I'll give some of these out, okay? Take a pen.
Now, this is very unusual for America to have a president who's not creepily sniffing all the kids around him. Notice that's different. He actually treats them with respect and revere. It isn't creepy as hell. Though I partially digress. That, again, should have got hundreds of millions of views. That should have got more views than anything on the news today. It was epic. It was legendary. Unfortunately, I only got 250,000 views on X and about 16,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from Cool Christian Engineer, who, A+ for marketing, you know exactly what he does for a living. Though, perhaps a little slightly disappointed. He doesn't extrapolate. He doesn't say mechanical engineer or something like that. Granted, that might be, comically long of a name, but slightly more specific. But nevertheless, he says, quote, "The left can't say this anymore." And here's a picture of Trump surrounded by the girls. It says, quote, "Where are the leftists who claim that Trump hated women?" Yep. Well, they're the same mentally vacuous people who can't define what a woman is. And that got 68 likes. Paul Zuzupa says, quote, "This is a beautiful site," getting 33 likes. Libercat Media TM says, quote, "And the best part is he didn't sniff or touch a single child like the previous guy would." Yep. Getting 61 likes. Libercat Media TM also says, quote, "We did it, Chaya. We finally did it. We won," getting 20 likes. Vince Langman says, quote, It's hard to believe that he had to sign an executive order to keep men out of women's sports, getting 302 likes. Yeah, that's the sad and crazy cultural thing about the United States. It's become a politically divided stance of one side believes in biology and the other one thinks that men compete in women's sports and there's no difference. Even though every time that happens, the men crush the women. And I guess it wasn't meant to be, but I guess that is also a dark humor joke because that one boxer did pummel her ridiculously. You also have Liberty Pill memes, has a picture of Jim from The Office with the cliche pointing at the whiteboard meme. And Liberty Pill memes says, quote, to risk saying something obvious. As Jim pointing at the bill whiteboard says, real women don't have a penis. Getting 71 likes as well. Nacho business, though it is not in fact a picture of a tray of nachos. It's a picture of Smokey the Bear, weirdly enough. It says, quote, can you spot the difference between this administration and the last? It's subtle, but you have to watch it a few times. There's a compilation of Biden, and he is, grabbing all the young girls and sniffing them really creepily. And it's actually, it's not like he's a shampoo enthusiast. It's not like he goes, come on, man, do you like L'Oreal? Is it tear free? Come on, man. Like, he doesn't own a shampoo company. He's not trying to sample size, like, what scent is best. Like, yeah, one of the creepiest guys in politics. We're just saying something. That got 26 likes. Going down more and more. Fight with memes. A+ marketing. That's exactly what they did. They say before the meme, quote, when libs say don't complain, you voted for this, this is what they mean. And there's a picture of a gal, track athlete. I forget what you call the track you run around. Oh, there's a special term for that. Nevertheless, it's a gal who's about to start a race. It says, quote, women's sports are not a backup option for mediocre male athletes, getting 139 likes. Dr. Deborah Fouché says, quote, and not a single one child was sniffed, getting 343, so we get 344 likes. So yeah, great news. Now, unfortunately, what might happen in 4 years? That's where, I'm not sure if this has to be as crazy as it sounds. Does it have to be a new constitutional amendment, which, again, I'm not sure if you get 2/3 of anything could be agreed upon these days in politics, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Jasmine Crockett is tired of quote-unquote white tears from white boys, and she is very upset that DEI is dying. Now, this comes with thanks to End Wokeness on X, in which she says, quote, Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat on DEI, says, quote, I'm so tired of white tears from mediocre white boys. Which, I can't believe CNN is still in business. So somehow, it is in business and she's on the CNN. And this is from, apparently she's reacting to a Trump appointee who said, quote, allegedly said, competent white men must be in charge.
That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education.
Wait a minute, but then why are they lowering the standards at so many institutions and companies in order to get more applications from other folks? Why are they disbarring some people? DEI is quite literally saying you can't apply to this job if you have a certain complexion of skin or a certain orientation. They won't take your resume. A smart business or an ethical business would accept every single resume so you can build the best business because you want every application so you can choose the best of the best of the best. Not the best of a subcategory, which inherently will mean you can't get the best because you're alienating prospective, well, in this case, new hires. But she is irate. That got pretty viral. It got 6.6 million views and 23,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from the folks is Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, the ghetto trash of Congress getting 6.1 thousand likes. I'm a little disappointed. I say that because there's no meme. The Planet of Memes account, I'll say alleged, says, quote, Ghetto Crockett is the dumbest member of Congress, getting 1.9 thousand likes. Now, interestingly enough, that didn't get a fact check or community note. There's a lot of contenders for the dumbest person in Congress. You got AOC. You got Omar. There's a lot of dumb people. Who's the dumbest of the dumbest? That could be a contest in and of itself. I don't know. Ooh, that's hard to say. Even AOC, while dumb, I do appreciate what was it, last year, her and Matt Gaetz had a bipartisan bill to try to get it illegal for insider trading in Capitol Hill. Never went anywhere, but maybe she is the dumbest. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on that note. You have Paul Zupa saying, quote, peak racism from Crockett, again, getting 4.3 thousand likes. Luke at Media TM says, quote, as she speaks to a, quote, mediocre white boy, getting 226 likes. Torsten Prochanow says, quote, Jasmine Crockett's latest outburst is yet another example of the outright anti-white racism and hatred that the radical left openly promotes while claiming to fight discrimination. Imagine if a Republican had said something remotely close to about any other group, it would be, oh geez, he wrote 15 paragraphs. It would be a nationwide scandal. Got 1.3 thousand likes. Someone by the name of Voltaire's Looking Glass says, quote, this is inequality, it's racial hostility disguised as virtue. The Constitution enshrined equal guaranteed rights under the law, not radical scorekeeping or government-sanctioned discrimination. Gained 473 likes. Bain Taylor says, quote, if one thing is true is that the Democrat Party is that they are always and have been filled with actual racists, gained 226 likes. Val says she is effing racist, gained 262 likes. Is anyone sticking up for her? Leftist translator, aka Tony, says, quote, so a representative in Congress goes on national TV, is blatantly racist, and nobody has an issue with it? Swap out the word white for any other race and it would be deemed racist in a heartbeat. Unquote, gained 3.7 thousand likes. You have a chaotic genius says, we're tired of your identity politics. As the new borders are, he's saying DEI says deport every illegal. Gained 168 likes, which he didn't actually say that. It's a meme. Let's see here. It also goes against, I mean, S&P 500 was in 2022 of the 300,000 new hires, less than 6% were white males. I mean, that's not statistically possible if you take into account, the general sample sizes. If you're actually accepting every single resume, that's not statistically possible. That's only possible through discrimination. Now, granted, I'm talking about the private sector. She's talking about the public sector, but yeah. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, culturally and politically, I hope we get to the point where, this isn't a thing anymore, but let me know because, as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting, sad political news, you have Mitch McConnell falling down yet again, this time going up the stairs as if he's copying Joe Biden. Now, I don't think it's too crass or not too distasteful to make jokes because, again, thankfully he's okay. He's now in a wheelchair, but, this didn't, he didn't pass away or anything like that. But, yeah, just another highlight of how old and decrepit people are in politics on the left and the right. Now, this comes to us thanks to Dave Portnoy. He says, quote, fell upstairs. And this is the brief clip of Mitch McConnell falling this time up the stairs. It's like 3 steps to get from the floor to that slightly raised, not podium, was it speech stage, whatever you want to call it. Someone in the industry, let me know what that specific vernacular is. I'd be fascinated. This apparently is credited to CBS News. Which, yeah, he caught himself in terms of, he braced, again, thankfully he braced himself. And again, it is fun. I mean, it's one of the things where it is funny when politicians fall, because usually it's not, it's not detrimental. They get right back up. They're not going to the hospital, thankfully. But like, if you're this old, even if you're still mentally articulate, like Warren Buffett, who, I mean, he's slowed down a little bit when we look at his speech patterns, his reactions, but he's still as sharp as a tack. But he's getting old. His physical reaction time is a little bit slower. Why not have a cane? If we're, and again, I debate if Mitch is still articulate mentally, but why not have a cane? Or even an assistant? I don't think people will critique you, but not as many as if you fall. Because again, this doesn't look good. Now, interestingly enough, he's going up to a podium that says hashtag Team Mitch, which I'm not sure how many people actually cheer for him. He's done some good things in terms of, politics, but a lot of people pejoratively, refer to him as a turtle. And I'm trying to think of I think his, perhaps his saving grace or one of the biggest highlights is blocking the nomination Merrick Garland to go to the Supreme Court, which that would have been terrible. So again, he's done some good things, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people are not very happy with Mitch. He got, well, no, not him, but this video got 1.3 million views and 19,000 likes. Perhaps not a good example. Every politician wants to go viral, but not in this case. This is not the way you want to go viral. Now, one of the first comments come to us thanks to Gas Station Sushi, which, God, that's going to be scary. Do people actually eat that, if that is a thing? He says, quote, "What an embarrassment. Why doesn't his family pull him aside and have a truthful discussion with Mitch? Honestly, he needs to immediately step down from the Senate," getting 49 likes, which, people with power rarely want to give it up. I mean, geez, look at Dianne Feinstein. She was sold old and decrepit mentally and physically towards the end. She was in a wheelchair, but the especially concerning thing was the mental articulation wasn't there. She would vote on bills, and then I'll never forget, she came out of session, and reporters said, like, "Hey, we saw you voted on this. Why did you vote this way?" And her response was, "I didn't vote." And she didn't remember that she was out of she was, basically on healthcare leave or, taking away personal time for 3 weeks. She didn't remember that either. And she actually signed over her power of attorney, I think, to, was it Pelosi's daughter or something like that? So she, legally speaking, she can't make decisions for her own health, but towards the end, she was still making decisions for our country. Which, yeah, is quite concerning to say the least. I think of all the things that would disqualify you in politics would be if you no longer can make decisions for your own health and cognitive ability. One would think that would, make it so you shouldn't be in politics or not qualified to be in politics. Now, you also have Mr. Baloo saying, quote, "This will be wheeling a suit with a," they say, quote, "They will be wheeling a suit with a feeble body in DC. His handlers will vote for the Dems, and another person will be a bag of bones and poster child for effing term limits," getting 12 likes. CA says, quote, they claim he had polio as a kid. One of his legs was paralyzed, and he's dealt with it since, getting 13 likes. Which, I mean, even if true, why not have a cane? I mean, these senators are millionaires, and sometimes tenfold over. $100 million valuations. A cane is, I would argue, free if you go to a public park and find a nice stick. Maybe you spend like $2-3 of material if you buy a nice razor blade or knife to carve off the bark and make it nice and smooth. Maybe another 18 cents if you want to wood stain it. Yeah, I know the whole can of stain will cost a couple of dollars, but cost per actual usage is quite less, and you can use that stain for something else around the house. I'm only partially exaggerating, but come on, they have money. You also have funny memes. Says, quote, "Biden 2.0. This rhino needs to step down immediately," getting 35 likes. Rhino being the pejorative term for Republican in name only. Common sense prevails, says, "Two peas in a pod," and it's a picture AI generated, of course. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi sitting in a nursing home bed looking happy, getting 74 likes, which, yeah, they're both up there. Just Shane says, "Holy term limits," getting 596 likes. Dr. Danny Noonan says, quote, "Mitch McConnell's new transportation chair." And it's that, I forget what we call it, the chair where they bolt it to your stairs of the house. So you can just go down from one flight of stairs to the other, but it's a mechanical chair. Getting 90 likes. Let's see here. More and more. Let's see. Layla Ann says, "Community notes. This video of Mitch McConnell falling while getting on a platform occurred in May 2014 during a campaign event, and it was not from his fall on the stairs of the Senate February 5th, 2025. Let's see here. Trying to see if they have another video of him. Let's see. Who Dale says, quote, "That's what I keep saying. He fell up the stairs, not down. Unless there is another fall, it was reported that he fell twice today," getting 8 likes. Exhibit, though I don't think it's the rapper, says, quote, "Man's got to retire already," getting 99 likes. Oh, one more. Ian Taylor says, quote, "This guy's holding on to the bitter end and to oppose nominations and cover up massive corruption," getting 102 likes. And then looks like this is a picture of him being in a wheelchair, getting 526 likes. And yeah, there's still no term limits. And very few people have ever actually, I think Ted Cruz is the latest person in DC to actually introduce a bill for term limits. Every once in a while, he gets some bipartisan support, but even then, not so much. I just chuckle as someone took maybe it's Photoshop or Microsoft Paint, and they just added a turtle shell to Mitch when he fell. That got 8 likes. But let me know in the comments. I mean, everyone always says they want term limits. Do you think it'll ever actually happen? Kind of like how, us, the public, you always say, we don't think you should be able to do insider trading if you're in DC. I mean, people have been saying that for decades, on the left and the right. Yep, they still get that privilege to do that. So let me know, do you think in our lifetime, will we ever actually see term limits for people in DC? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have a Washington law that could install mile-per-hour limiters for suspended drivers, which, talk about Big Brother. This comes to us thanks to The Drive, specifically Brian Hurd, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, new Washington law would let suspended speeders drive with mile-per-hour limiters installed. Washington state drivers who would ordinarily have their licenses suspended could instead drive legally with the governor installed. Ugh. It's got to be one of the worst punishments of all time. Imagine having a nice sports car and you can only go below the speed limit or the speed limit, which, spoiler alert, if you, again, maybe not legal advice, I don't know how I phrase this. If you go to the speed limit on a highway, it is pretty dangerous. You're going to get rear-ended. Let's just say when I was a kid, the first time I went onto the highway and I was doing things by the textbook, I was scared crapless because, yeah, let's just say everyone around me was going 10 to 20 miles per hour faster. Needless to say, you'll learn quick. Now, specifically, going to the article, they say, quote, Washington state is facing a traffic enforcement crisis that has prompted lawmakers to introduce a bill that would give holders of suspended licenses the opportunity to drive and continue driving in a, quote, new speed-restricted license that mandates the use of an electric top-speed governor. So long as the speed governor is active, the car could otherwise be driven normally and legally, so long as the driver manages to follow the other rules of the road, the Washington State Standard reports. Now, they say, quote, it is the intent of the legislature to keep the public safe when on the road. Nationwide, 29% of all crash fatalities occur in speed-related crashes in 2022. In 2023, more than 30% of fatal crashes involve speeding on Washington roads. Speeding continues to be a component of traffic deaths, and law enforcement is increasingly dealing with more speed-related incidents. This legislature finds that all Washington drivers are at risk when speeding is involved, and the solution is to change the behavior as needed, unquote. Despite the stated intent, the bill includes no provisions for preventing or reducing speeding in the first place. Instead, it merely acknowledges the fact that the most egregious violators are continuing to drive despite having their licenses suspended. Interesting idea to enforce the law. So they're admitting they're not paying attention to the law. They're just going to drive anyway, so they're going to just neuter their vehicles. I mean, if they're breaking the law multiple times, why don't you just put them in jail? Oh, yes, it's a leftist state. They would never do that, of course. Why enforce the laws? They say, quote, additionally, according to the American Motor Vehicle Administration, more than 70% of people with suspended license continue driving during the suspension period. By leveraging technology to enable individuals to continue driving and prevent speeding, the legislature intends to enhance road safety to promote driving habits to keep the public safe. The bill would also define excessive speeding as traveling at least 20 miles per hour over the posted limit. In some instances, or as we call it in Texas, a regular Monday or Tuesday, in some instances, being found guilty of excessive speeding in addition to other violations would automatically require the driver to switch to a speed-restricted license and install a intelligent speed assistance device if they want to continue operating motor vehicle. Predictably, it would be an illegal misdemeanor to tamper with the device once installed, and all installers would require to pass a criminal background check. Which, yeah, I can't but think a kid of about 18 seconds be able to hack this thing, kind of like the stupid little EV scooters you see all around town, or just instantly hack them and take them for free. Well, we'll see if this is, we'll see if this goes to the Supreme Court someday. But yeah, imagine having your car shut down like that. And what a novel idea! The people who keep breaking the law, why don't you just arrest them so they don't do it? I know actually arresting criminals is the antithesis of both leftist ideology, but probably be a good thing. Now, one of the first comments comes from Blandforth saying, quote, it's all BS. All accidents are considered to be speed-related because it maintains the illusion and monetization of it all. If there are so many people with suspended licenses due to speeding, then the problem isn't the drivers getting 7 likes. Which, yeah, it's quite concerning also how some counties and states receive a majority of their public funding through speeding tickets. Especially a lot of small towns too. I mean, a couple of years ago, there's a report that said one small town got 75% of their county's budget from speeding tickets. That, I mean, they're quite literally banking on people breaking the law. Travis Gower says, quote, this seems fair. Ooh, contrarian statement. I know it'll get hate, but not much more different than getting breathalyzer lock installed post DUI. Now, the concerning thing, though, is the speeding. How many states have artificially low speeding instances because they want speeding tickets to make more money? It's 2025. A speed limit of 55, that's ridiculous. It should be at least 75 miles per hour on all major highways. There's some corrupt areas in the Midwest, Illinois, where decades after the gas crisis, they still have 55 mile per hour instances of highways. Back then they did it because the country, oil crisis, we want to make cars more fuel efficient. One of the easiest ways to do that is going at efficient speed. And yet they never changed it back up because they make bucos of money off the extortation. I would argue the extortation with speeding tickets. Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. ACT 9892 says, quote, Washington resident here, I think this is a waste of time. Most speeders are caught not on the freeway, but on the streets with lower speeds. A max speed limiter would be worthless for those people. The limiter would still need to allow driving above 70 miles per hour, or it would need to have an accurate GPS map with posted speed limits for our street. Not practical at all. Let's see here. Somebody named Dat Son of a Bitch, which A+, because I can't believe they're thinking of the Nissan car, the Datsun, or, well, previously Nissan, nevertheless. Says speed limit 55 mile per hour because you get a ticket. No problem. Just go everywhere 55 mile per hour and they'll average out. You should continue saying, quote, 50 mile per hour in school zone. F the kids. 35 mile per hour residential area. Get bent, Karen. I mean, I've seen worse ideas, but this does make me laugh. Getting 5 likes or upvotes. Scrolling down more and more. Gust Liam says, quote, oh, nothing about this idea can go wrong. How about the, quote, intelligent speed assisted devices going to work on my 1978 carbureted crap can that I can still drive because I can't afford a new car? Besides, a person can still be reckless, a-hole at 3 miles per hour, which, I mean, that's part of the reason why big government is working, I suspect, with the automakers to force, again, Republicans and Democrats both said, yeah, it's a good idea, to force automobiles to have a remote shutoff, which is creepy and dystopian as hell, referencing 1984 for the millionth time on the show. Yeah, everyone should read it, and then they'd be, well, it makes you depressed when you consider how much evil modern governments are compared to that book, but nevertheless, somebody with Stay Classy says, no, bad idea, tried to get in Washington, gave 1 like. Cartman says, quote, Washington state motto, how can I be more stupid today than I was yesterday, getting 2 likes. So, again, this is just a proposal for now. We'll see if it gets passed, and there may very well be some legal correlations to the breathalyzer arguments, where in some areas, they do force that to get installed on your vehicle. But, yeah, when it comes to speeding, my 3 cents, again, it used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation got to be 3 cents. Most speeding is usually about tickets and making revenue for areas, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Ford recalling 150,000 Broncos because the suspension could just fall off. Ford quality. I'm sure they'll be good next year, just like the Chicago Bears. Haha, sports pun. They haven't been good in decades, and statistically speaking, probably won't be good again anytime soon. Now, this comes to us thanks to Ronan Glone, who's a writer at The Drive. He says, quote, Ford recalls 150,000 Broncos because parts of the rear suspension can fall off. Again, it's not like this is a vehicle from the 90s. This is a newish vehicle, and they're already falling apart. Just how many recalls has the Bronco alone had? It's racking up more and more. Now, they say, quote, the problem only affects the Badlands trim and the SUVs with the Sasquatch package, and Ford doesn't know how to fix it yet. Whoops. Jeez Louise. At least it looks cool off-roading. You can see that picture there. And I'll give Ford some credit. You know me, I'm a ridiculously weird guy that will only buy vehicles with 3 pedals, also known as manual transmission. And truth be told, if I ever am blessed with a family someday, I'll probably need an SUV. And, well, ideally, I'd love a 2009 Porsche. Was it Porsche Cayman GTS? Or Cayenne GTS, sorry. Came with a V8 and a stick shift. There's barely any of those left. So I'd probably get a Ford Bronco because they do offer a stick shift. The only one for an SUV on the market in the United States, which is quite sad in and of itself. So I do appreciate Ford is, they're trying. Now, they say, quote, Ford is recalling nearly 150,000 examples of Broncos because the rear suspension system's remote reservoirs can fall off due to rust. Let that sink in there for a second there. Similar to a Ford vehicle sinking into the gravel or pit of inevitability of it, breaking outside the road and becoming part of nature, can fall off due to rust. I mean, I know a majority of these vehicles are just going to be pavement queens, and they're going to be sitting on, Walmart parking lots, or they're fancy, they want to waste money, Target parking lots, but it was engineered to be an off-road fun toy. And yet, what's off-road? Again, I have some friends that do off-roading. I'm by no means an expert. I've seen the pictures on the Facebook when they go, but you know what they usually have when they're off-roading? Oh yeah, water and mud, which are major components to yet rust. Yeah. Who would have thought an off-road vehicle might have an issue with rusting? Jeez, Ford. They say the problem only affects Bandit's trim and the SUV equipped with the Sasquatch package, but the Blue Oval hasn't figured out how to fix it. Assigned recall number 25V/25. Interesting name, 25V/25. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The recall applies to 149,944 units of the 2021 to 2024 Bronco built from September 23rd, 2020 to July 23rd, 2024. Ford estimates the problem is present in about 30% of the SUVs. Now here you can see some very rare pictures of a Ford vehicle working. It's actually off-road there. Pretty impressive. You don't see that every day with the Ford. And then I say, quote, it's not a minor issue, however. Ford told the NHTSA that, quote, the long flange rear shock absorbers in the affected vehicles may experience corrosion between the external reservoir and mounting flange and the damper body, resulting in the separation of external reservoir. If you're driving, signs that a remote reservoir is about to fall off include a bouncy ride, unusual noise, and a leak near the rear wheels. Or, as the average Ford owner calls their vehicle, an average Monday. If you're just cruising, nothing is going to warn you that the Bronco in front of you is just about to jettison a hydraulic cylinder, which is why the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration got involved. Ugh, it's a little disappointing. They chose an interior picture of the Ford, but they chose an automatic transmission. Disappointing. Now they say, quote, as of this writing, Ford has only received 551 warranty claims related to the problem. Thankfully, silver lining the situation, they're not aware of any accidents or injuries caused by it yet. They say several owners have filed complaints related to the problem. One told the NHTSA that the, quote, external reservoirs fell off around 36,000 miles, which for a car, that's nothing. I mean, I'm so happy I got my Honda Civic Si with the stick shift. Well, it only comes with a stick shift. Another reason I love Honda. But yeah, I was thinking about getting a Ford Focus ST. Great horsepower, great torque. Only comes with a stick shift, a great hot hatch, even cheaper than the Honda. But I was worried about reliability and I have to get to work, so I chose a Honda Civic Si, which has had, relative to the Ford, a fraction of the number of recalls. Thank God I chose a Honda. Now, again, my Honda's got nearly 86,000 miles, and some of those are track miles too. Still works like a champ. And this is saying, oh yeah, around 36,000 miles, it might just fall off. Jeez. Another noted that the reservoir simply fell off, adding that, quote, this causes the vehicle to bounce uncontrollably. They say it takes much more searching on various forums to find the post related to the issue. Some owners claim that the road salt predictably made it worse, which, yep, don't get me started on my unusual number of soapboxes. One of them is salt on the roads. Terrible idea. Terrible for vehicles. I mean, destroys your car or truck or SUV. Just eats through everything. And as crazy as it sounds, it does make the argument for the undercoating, which as a kid, I thought they made up undercoating, the term, as a scam. It is a real thing, and depending on where you live, probably good to get your vehicle. Obviously don't pay the dealership hundreds of dollars. Spend like $7 on a rattle can of that stuff and spray it yourself. But yeah, there's a reason. There is a legitimate argument to get the undercoating for your vehicle. And yeah, one of the reasons is salt. We shouldn't use it. I would argue we should just, tough it out. But I know most drivers, if they have more than 12 snowflakes on the ground, will just inevitably spin and crash into each other. I don't know why people can't handle the snow, but nevertheless. Now, they say that, quote, Ford will begin reaching out to owners of the recalled SUVs by mail. Interesting. On February, but there's a catch. The company doesn't know how we'll fix the problem yet. Whoops. It told the NHTSA that, quote, the remedy is under development. Kind of almost as reminiscent of Indiana Jones. Who's working on the Ark of the Covenant? Top men are working on it. Who? Top men. I'm sure Ford is working on it. And they say that, quote, and that spare parts should be available in the third quarter of 2025. Huh. So basically you have, I don't know. I'll say the glass is half full. Maybe you have 1.5 fiscal quarters where you can't use your car safely. What? Motorists who have already paid for their rusted suspension to be repaired will get a refund via a claim. Which, yeah, come on, Ford. Now, some top comments comes from Question Liam says, quote, Broncos are less than 5 years old and already have parts that are rusting and falling off. Let's see. I don't know if they misspelled this on purpose. I'm guessing they did, so I'll change my vernacular to reflect that. Built Ford tough. Right there. I don't think they intended that to compete with Jeep. Getting 3 likes, which I'll give Jeep credit as a brand. People buy this stuff even though they know they're rust buckets that will inevitably break within 18 miles. I'm kidding, maybe 23 miles. I mean, the number of recalls and things that break on Jeep, nearly second to none, but people keep buying it. That's the power of their brand. Now, the Bronco, I don't think their fan power is that great. And again, this is a huge gamble by Ford. And fiscally speaking, it's been great in terms of these things are selling. So again, SUVs and trucks, majority of the profit from automobile manufacturers, that's where it comes from. That's why it's so important to get these things right. And to have yet another recall on top of the other recalls they've already had. I mean, shoot, let me just pull up I was about to say the Google, but it's realistic. Well, X Twitter for the AI search engine. Let's see. How many recalls has the Ford Bronco had? Or has? No, it had. Had is right. So they've had a windshield recall, a child safety lock recall, a steering gear recall, rear quarter glass panel recall, a child safety lock again recall, an engine intake valve recall, a 12-volt battery recall, and a suspension recall. Ford Bronco has 8 recalls thus far. 8! And this vehicle, I would argue, is relatively brand new. It's only been on the market for a couple of years. Now, a good rule of thumb is when a vehicle first comes out, you usually don't want to get it the first year. That's usually where there's going to be some things inevitably they find after, mass usage where they got to fix it. Then year 2, year 3, that's where my friends would argue that's the best time. Then year 4, you want, later years, the car manufacturer, you want to get it because at that time they're trying to get every penny they can and profit off it. So they're buying, telling the subcontractors to make the parts and components even cheaper. But yeah, this is basically a brand new vehicle having 8 recalls, which I would argue is even a high number for a Ford. And again, they're already the butt of the joke of most car reputation jokes. I mean, the acronym Found on Road Dead, aka Ford, has been a joke since I was a kid. And Jim Farley, their CEO, which I admire, he's a racer, he's dedicated to the stick shift, the V8, the sports cars, and I would argue the Mustang's getting pretty good over time. Not the E-Mach or that bastardization, of course, but the true Mustang. And yet when he arrived day one, he said the most important thing for Ford was fixing the quality. Was it Q2 or Q3 2024? They spent $823 or $830 million on warranty work. Almost $1 billion fixing crap. Which, again, it's not good for sales and your reputation when you keep getting these bad recalls. Especially when, this is a recall that actually affects the user. They can't use their vehicle arguably safely, and you still have a fix for it. You get a fix, hopefully it'll be soon. You got to go to dealership. Based on based on reading this article, this isn't going to be a quick 5-minute swap out. It's going to take some real man hours. So that means you're going to be either without a vehicle, maybe you're lucky and the local dealership will give you a loaner, or maybe you have to use one of the Lyfts or the Uber apps, which I would argue for safety is not a great idea in and of itself. But yeah, it just continues to chisel away at the brand reputation of Ford. And yeah, I don't know who's in charge of the quality assurance these days, but not realizing this might rust, that's got to be, that has to be perhaps the business blunder of the year. It's got to be. But maybe we'll do a little fun vote on that, the biggest business blunder of the month. I think it'd be a good idea, but right now, Ford having yet their 8th recall for the Ford Bronco, I gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.